Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, where we've got another Blue Room on the topic this time of global housing, changing dynamics during COVID. Today we've got Jamie Massler from Murphy's Corporate Housing Associates, who's kindly agreed to host the event. Michelle White from Today Living Group, Inga Bastians from Your Amsterdam Housing, and Ralph Moore from AHI Corporate Housing. So I will let's get the panel on the screen. This is always a little bit tricky. There's me. In fact, before we do that, I would like to bring Raj onto the screen. Raj, very valued sponsor of Blue Room and Saba Networking. Hi, Raj.
Hello, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, good. Raj, if you'd like to tell the audience a little bit about AV Quest and Integrum PMS, that'd be great.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're enjoying today, and the topic today, I'm sure, is going to be one that we're all very, very interested in. AV Quest are a company based in London. We specialize in automated payments, and we have quite a few payment solutions. Our primary product actually automates OTA payments and offers lots of anti-fraud features, as well as analytics to help you understand what's going on, not just with the bookings and payments, but also in terms of other aspects of the hotel life. In addition to that, we also have a PMS solution that's available to those people who actually are smaller operators and can't afford the bigger options available. And that PMS solution includes the channel manager, booking engine, as well as our own payment solution. From a payment solution perspective, obviously that's our core business, and we plug into most PMSs and channel managers. And if you're interested, please feel free to just email me at raj@avquest.co.uk, and I'll be able to take you through what we can do for you. Thank you. You're muted, Richard.
Thank you. 1.5 years later, and I can still, and I'm still doing it. So thanks, Raj. Thank you for all of your very valued support over some very tough months. So thank you.
Bye.
Right, see you, Raj. Bye now. Right, it's now my great pleasure to bring onto the stage. So Jamie Massler. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is a topic that I've been wanting to cover for quite some time, and joining all the Saba networking during COVID, it's going to be very interesting to find out what different countries and governments handled COVID during that time, and how companies have been diverse and gone through adversity and come out the back end. So it should be an interesting session.
I think so, Jamie. It's a great topic to discuss, and like you say, really, it'll be interesting to see people's perspectives. Always very interesting. We can get into our own businesses and in our environments. And Jamie, I'm going to move you over to the left there, and then there you go. I'll try and sort out my green screen in the meantime. Otherwise, it seems a bit like I've got a disco here. But Jamie, so if I could perhaps ask you to introduce yourself and your company again, and then if we go around Michelle, Inga, and Ralph, then that would be great. So about your company.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Massler with Murphy's Corporate Housing Associates. I handle all of our international outbound housing requests in all markets. I work remotely to our home office in Woodlands, Texas. We handle national temporary housing for RMCs and corporate clients, as well as apartment locating and destination services and real estate services. So we have four different divisions.
Fabulous. Thank you. Michelle, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle White. I'm located in Canada. Toronto, Canada is our base. We are a corporate housing company, a little different than a lot of others around here. We have two sides to our company. We have one for more relocations as well as corporate housing. So we have a lot of unfurnished product that we'll turn around and add furniture to make sure that we can meet everyone's needs for short and long term. Our base is Toronto, although we can handle 5 cities across the country.
Thank you. Inga?
Yeah, hi. I'm Inga from Your Amsterdam Housing, based in the city centre of Amsterdam. We are a service apartment provider. We've been in the business for about 15 years. And, well, very happy to be on a panel tonight.
Thank you. And last, by no means least, Ralph. Oops. Oh, I'm glad you did that, Ralph, because you're
You're on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Ralph Moore. I'm the president of AHI Corporate Housing. We've been in this space about 30 years. We primarily have Southeast United States and have offices in 10 cities. And we're a corporate housing company that works with other providers and RMCs.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ralph. Jamie, I'll hand over to you in a minute. Before I do that, if I could please encourage the people viewing, to introduce your companies. Please remember to include your company name, because although you can see it in your profile when you're introducing, we can't see it unless you write it down. So please write your name, company name, contact details in the chat. Chat amongst yourselves, send comments on the discussion on the panel, and I will post them onto the screen. Comments and questions, very, very much appreciated. Before we do start, if I can just run through to give an idea of how important this is. Obviously important, no, you don't need me to tell you how important and what an impact COVID has made, but the companies, the countries that have registered, people from the countries that have registered: Australia, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Croatia, Denmark, Dubai, Egypt, France, Germany, Holland, India, Indonesia, Ireland, Italy, Malaysia, Maldives, New Zealand, Philippines, Qatar, Romania, Singapore, Spain, Switzerland, Tunisia, UK, and USA. I bet you thought I'd never finish, but I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I think that, and thank you very much for registering and for your interest today. But Jamie, if at the stage, please, I could hand over to you and to start the conversation, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank everyone for joining today. Thank you, Richard, Saba Networking, the Blue Room, and all the sponsors as well. I'd like to start in the U.S. with Ralph. Ralph, you're muted, by the way. Where in Alabama are you located?
I'm in Birmingham.
Oh, you're in Birmingham. Okay. Yes. Okay, great. Well, I wanted to start because going back to early 2020 here in the U.S., I know most of us were at the CHIPA conference in February 2020, right before COVID came down. And when we came back from the CHIPA conference, I don't think anyone really realized what the impact of COVID was going to be, the duration, how long it was going to go on for, and the impact to all of our clients. So I'd like to find out from you, what are the biggest challenges that AHI faced once you realized that COVID was going to be long-term, it wasn't going to be going away anytime soon?
Well, I think what happened, it occurred in early spring as we were starting to gear up and add units for the summertime. And maybe we misinterpreted how bad COVID was going to be and the impact. So I think our vacancy was very high. Was very high in the first Q1 and Q2 of 2020. It's just not what we expected, because those are usually the good months for us. And here we were experiencing 10 to 15% less occupancy than we normally did. We were fortunate, though, that most of our locations were in the Southeast, and the Southeast did not shut down like other parts of the country. We had some mask mandates and maybe some stay-at-home orders, as I recall, but they didn't last very long. The states where we were in were pretty much some of the first that opened up.
So within your organization, you didn't furlough, lay off, or any of that, or did you have to do for some employees?
No, we were fortunate. We did not lay anybody off during that period of time. We actually started out with 2020 getting one of the largest deals our company ever had, and so we really thought 2020 was going to be a banner year for us, and it turned into a roller coaster. By April, maybe we'll talk about this in a minute, but in April, we were actually sending letters to apartment communities asking for rent concessions. And then by the end of the year, our occupancy was higher in November and December probably than any other year we've ever had. So it was a very roller coaster year for us.
Yeah, I know. I talk to Carol a lot, so, and she does very well for your company.
Thank you.
But did you have to do any kind of salary reductions or anything like that to any of your employees, or did you keep everyone fully staffed, like Michael Smith and who does your business development?
We did not have to reduce anybody's salaries. I will say that if we were looking at it in April when I was writing those letters to the apartment communities, I said if we had the same conditions by June or July, we'd be really in deep trouble.
Right.
But fortunately, by that time, we got one of the PPP loans, and it tided us over during our time of need. And so we let one person go is all that. He worked in another area that we really didn't need, but everybody else stayed on board at full salary.
That's wonderful. Yes, we had to furlough a couple assistants, but other than that, we kept everyone on board full time. So that was a really good plus for us, especially on the international side. Our owner really invested in our international business because all the borders closed and our international business came to a screeching halt. Now we did get a lot of extensions, which I'm sure was a good piece of business for everybody. Did you incur a lot of extensions right away?
I think that's what helped us the most. As we were having cancellations, we were probably getting an equal number of extensions. They kept us in about the same spot when you look at the net occupied number of units. So yes, we were very fortunate. Again, like I said, we had some deals that actually came to us that I remember specifically that the customers wanted a COVID exception so that if the city shut down or the state shut down, we'd let them out of their leases and move back.
Right.
And again, we're fortunate because Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee really didn't shut down like California and the Northeast states did.
Mississippi also.
Mississippi, right.
Well, I'd like to move on to Inga because I know of all the locations, the requests that I had during 2020, Amsterdam was probably one of the highest requested areas that we received internationally. And I know you had pretty high number of cases of COVID. How did you keep your business going from the beginning, Inga, through that period where there was an unknown how long it was going to go on for?
Well, that's the thing, right? We never knew, we never expected, and we never anticipated that it would. I mean, it's still going on, really. I think that we focused on occupancy instead of rates. So we kept talking to our clients, asking them if there were any budgets, if there were any special requests, offering flexible cancellation policies, flexible arrival policies, just really, bending and working with the needs of the client and the situation given.
Right. I know a lot of the different suppliers were reducing rates just to kind of cover costs and stay afloat. Did you find this to be your case, or were you able to maintain your rates?
No, we did reduce the rates significantly. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I mean, I think
Well-
that helped a lot of people, but I think as the service industry as a whole, I know Richard and in the UK, they were trying to try and maintain a certain level of rates so that the industry could recover. But it did dip down in the first 2 quarters. And then I think successfully after the inventory was used up, the rate started amortizing, coming back up to where they were pre-COVID.
It's better to have your apartment filled and lived in, and the marginal cost covered, than having it empty. So yeah, we did. I was surprised to say that we kept doing. I mean, the percentage of occupancy was I think it was below 30 at some point, but still. The little movement there was, we still saw some of it, luckily. So yeah.
So how did the Netherlands help out the hospitality industry, or did they reduce taxes? Did they?
Yes.
So
There was, yeah.
What was there anything else that your local government did to help the
Well,
industry?
the government. We're not that big, Jamie. Come on. There was a tax break, and there was support from the government in order to pay your staff's wages, and in order not to have to let anyone go.
So there was like a stimulus package, kind of like there was here,
Yes.
to help small
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
Did
Hi,
you
Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Milton. Do you want to take a moment, Richard, and say hello to the people that are joining us?
Good idea. Should we do that? Yeah, absolutely. I put Milton's comment on that because it was just
Yeah, I saw that.
relevant to Inga. So Milton writes, yes, Inga, we focus on occupancy, not rate. Now getting the rates back up is an issue. What we might do perhaps is let Inga and Michelle sort of have the first round of answers, and then we'll come back to the audience, if that's okay with you, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to Michelle, because obviously we want to find out about Canada and Toronto. Michelle, how much of a difference was there in the provinces across Canada from Ontario?
That's a great question. Huge, massive. Our province was in total lockdown. We were so extreme during the first wave that I think there was a lack of communication, information, and the governing body of our province was shooting off the hip without a plan behind them. So Ontario, which is where Toronto is based, really, I'll use the word suffered, maybe the word endured is a little bit better. We felt like it was martial law in the beginning. When the lockdown happened, it was like somebody flipped a switch. It's like yesterday you could move around and today you cannot. There wasn't any, by a week Friday, there was nothing. It was somebody had dropped the gun and that was it. We had at one point, on the news, it had said we were not allowed out except to go shopping, or if you had an essential job and you had to work. Other than that, you could be stopped. That's how severe it was here in the beginning, unlike the west coast of Canada and many other provinces where, yes, they were, obviously starting to reduce services, but they didn't have the extremes that we had here. So, shy of, in the beginning, I wrote letters for all of my team to make sure that if they were, servicing something from one site to another and they got stopped by the police, they were employed, what their job was, why they had to be out. I mean, it was severe in the beginning. It was tough. Yeah. So, of course, when your border's shut and your province is basically shut, what happens to new arrivals? Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. Did you incur a lot of extensions as well?
We had some, absolutely. But it was literally like the 4 walls were put around us and that was it. You couldn't get in, you couldn't get out, and that was it. And that really lasted through until July, August. And then, a lot of it started to lift. Of course, if you were traveling for business, you could get in and out of the border from the summertime on. with the proper credentials. And actually, that's another story unto itself. But the first few months were very difficult. And of course, none of us knew how long this was going to happen. We thought, is this, 3 months long, 4 months long? I was in business when SARS hit Toronto. And, everyone was referencing SARS, which was that was awful when it hit. But really, it was a 3-month window here where SARS hit, and Toronto, of course, was where it hit because we are the largest city in Toronto, so it's logical it was here. And we had, I remember at the time, our occupancy didn't change, but we didn't get any new reservations at the time. But it was a severe 6 weeks, and then by the end of the 3-month period, business was back to normal. We were all hoping this would be the same. As we know, that wasn't. So it was really hard. What do you do? Do you lay off people? Do you keep them? What do you do? Rents were falling in the city. Is that an opportunity to drop inventory, gain inventory? So it was a bit hard, and we were getting very little information here in Ontario as to what the next steps would be. I'll use the west side of Canada. They were still open. They could still go to restaurants. We couldn't go to restaurants until recently indoors. So in the last 6-7 weeks, we can now go inside a restaurant. We have not been able to do that since the beginning of the pandemic. Wow. That's how severe it is here.
Well, I know I did quite a few bookings in Toronto as well. And as they went into the COVID period, things started to lighten up a little bit. But it was funny because I was talking to one property and they made a statement that just sounded so accurate to me, where they just expect everyone who comes in to have COVID, and that was the process that they took. Everyone who checked in, they just assumed they were going to have COVID. So
that was quarantine. That's quarantine, and quarantine is actually still there now, depending on where you come from. There is it's few and far between, but yeah, you had to literally come in. And you were quarantined for 14 days, which meant you didn't leave wherever you were. They did check on you. At one point, they even stepped that up to say you had to spend 3 days in a hotel. So you have to have a negative PCR test to get in the country. Then you had to stay in a quarantine hotel, and you got another PCR test as you landed. And until you got that result being negative, you couldn't move on to where you were going to spend the rest of your 14-day quarantine. So yeah, and that actually was only a few months ago that stopped. So yeah, so you know what? It's been very different, but we all made it through. But yeah, it was pretty tough here. So to your point, Jamie, when we're dealing with other countries and they make a reservation, and then we tell them what's happening, and they kind of give you the what do you mean? It was really difficult. We had logistics issues such as somebody is in quarantine for 14 days. They can't stay in their suite with garbage piling up. So who's going to pick up their garbage daily? Things that we have never, that was never part of the equation. How do we get food up to them? Because DoorDash and all the food delivery services couldn't enter the buildings. They could only go up to the lobby. So how do you get it from the lobby up to the guest? Who's going to do that? How are you going to support that? So it was a whole other on the fly, we better figure this out real fast situation. So it was interesting, but we learned a lot from it.
Did the Prime Minister, the government help you all out with a stimulus type package, or reducing tax rates, or what did they do for the hospitality industry?
For hospitality, if you were totally shut down, in industries, there was a little bit more help. If you were not totally shut down, there was 2 lump sum payments that were made, loans. They were not free. And you would have, it was a small one of 30,000. And if you paid it back by the end of this year, you would only have to pay back 20,000 of it. And then a few months later, they supplemented that with a secondary one. There was some rebates, of course, or assistance with payroll, depending on how far you were down, just trying to support people so they didn't have to lay off anyone, which did help as well. There also was some rent support. But if you're asking, is there something specifically for hospitality? We ask that question constantly. And it was very difficult. And unfortunately, in our circumstance, because there was something we were reaching out for, because we are corporate housing, they didn't recognize our sector.
Did your other entities, your unfurnished side, were you able to get that stimulus on that side because it's not corporate housing?
Believe it or not, we didn't suffer at all on the unfurnished side. We were alive and well. We were doing just fine. So because that's local, that's people moving within. If anything, it actually helped us because we had less people moving out. Because
Right.
everybody was like, oh, it's like deer in the headlights. Everybody was stopped, so nobody moved out. So if anything, that was very, very stable through everything. So we were very fortunate.
I think with the rapid increase of your real estate, the increase in the housing market, I think people were selling just to get the profit off of the increases that were happening so quickly, and then found themselves needing either furnished or unfurnished housing.
Well, that's a really good question. We didn't reduce our inventory at all by choice. The only inventory that we lost was individuals who had seen the opportunity of, oh, wow, look at how much what their equity was building up and sold. So that was the only the loss that we sustained. But we maintained everything during the whole pandemic, and we were very lucky. We've never dug so deep in our lives to gain new business. A lot of our business is derived internationally, mostly from the United States. The banking sector is really a large chunk of our business prior to COVID. So we had to look elsewhere, and we're really lucky we did.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Jamie, I'll jump in if I may at that point, because we've got Ben Cross there. We know him and love him. We'll put him up there for a minute. Welcome.
Thank you, Richard. I don't mean to crash this amazing conversation. You guys are like talking business. Thank you, Jamie. Yes, you've noticed this caterpillar on my lip. Thank you so much, Inga. Yes. This conversation you're having is brilliant. And so I feel bad almost derailing.
You're more than welcome, and that's why we wanted you so badly to come on here, Ben, because you do so much for the sector. Let's face it, people who are on the call now who don't know Ben, well, I'll let you introduce yourself, actually, Ben, and then also just explain on the charity side.
What's happening on my face right now? Yes. Thank you, Richard. Yes, Ben Cross, CEO of Glomo. We're a global mobility service provider consulting firm and talent recruiting agency in the global mobility, corporate housing, or service department space. And also Vice President of Global Growth for Alta Vida, a global corporate housing provider. But what's happening with my face is it's Movember. It's Movember, and it is a month where we reflect on men's health issues, mental health issues, physical health issues. And so it's Growing This Mustache is really about raising funds and raising awareness for men's health issues. For instance, did you know that 75% of suicides are committed by men? So men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide. There are 10.8 million men living with prostate cancer in the world as well. It is not as prevalent as breast cancer. However, it is very underrepresented and not spoken about quite a bit. And one of the things that we can do is, just like breast cancer, through early detection, we can save so many lives. So prostate cancer, testicular cancer is very prominent among younger men as well. So there's just a lot of things we need to be talking about. It's also Veterans Day here in the US, and veterans are actually 1.5 times more likely, 150% more likely to commit suicide also. So there's just a lot of things, and it's not always fun to talk about. So that's why we use mustaches to break the ice there and start the conversation. So shout out to Vinny Valverde, the director of global mobility over at UPS, Scott O'Neill at Sudeth Companies, and so many other people who have joined the global mobility Movember Mo Bros team in growing mustaches and raising money. I think we have a few thousand US dollars already raised. I have a goal of $2,000. So if anybody wants to donate to my personal page within our team page, please do that. I've also got a post going on LinkedIn right now. If you hit like on that post, I will personally, and me and Glomo will donate $2 per like. I think we're up to almost 400 likes right now since last night. So that's $800 I'm on the hook for, Richard. But if it got up to 1,000, I'd be fine with that. So anyway, that's my plug, Richard. And I just appreciate the platform, and I love everything you do with Saba and the Blue Room, and it's just really, really cool. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you, Ben. Thank you for joining us. Did you post a link in the chat, by the way, if anyone wants to
I will do that right now. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I will post
Yeah.
that right now in the chat.
I have to say one thing. That's a
Please.
really good stash for 11 days of growing.
Okay, I have to admit something. Can we speak candidly and privately here? Don't tell
Yeah,
anybody.
no,
Of course.
Don't tell anybody. I cheated a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Now it is real. My son asked me this morning because he went to bed and I had a full beard, and he woke up this morning. I had a mustache. He said, "Is it real?" I said, "Yes, Danny." He's 6 years old. I said, "You can touch it. It's real." But I didn't shave clean at the beginning of the month. I had a little, a two guard, as they say, kind of beard, a 5 o'clock shadow kind of style beard. So I had a running start into the month. I wasn't clean shaven. And so that helped me. I've done this once or twice before.
Good stash.
Thank you so much.
You look great, man. That's a great cause too.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Fabulous. Okay, thanks a lot, Ben. And you've got a show this evening, haven't you? So would you like to mention that?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. Love and Relo. If anybody's seen it, it's on at 4 o'clock Eastern U.S., which is
dinner time, our time.
10. Is it 9? 10?
No, yeah, 9 o'clock. Yeah,
9 o'clock UK.
UK. Yeah.
Thank you for the math, Richard. I appreciate that. And we have Hazel Trimmer on. She is the global mobility. She runs the global mobility department for Columbia Sportswear, which is a 100-year-old company based out of Portland, Oregon. And she runs that program. And she's kind of doing some kind of, I don't want to say a turnaround job, but she's kind of bringing them to the next level, mobility 2.0, with all her skills and experience. So if you're interested in global mobility and kind of what goes into the policy and construction of that program, and we're probably going to talk about everything from global mobility to parenting to all sorts of things. So I hope everybody can tune in for that. And I appreciate the support, Richard, always.
Yeah, no, appreciate those as well. Thanks, Ben. Okay, so we'll move you from the stage. But thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Can do the applause thing on LinkedIn, and that would be great. And thank you very much. Okay, see you, Ben.
See you.
Sorry, right. So we'll put you back up there, Jamie. There you go.
Yeah. Do you want to check in with some of the?
Yeah, we better hide, don't we? Because there's one heck of a lot of people. So we'll do that, and then I'll run the sponsor video, and then we'll go back to your good self. Gosh, there are so many, but thank you for everybody for posting. So we've got Jack Jampel from Stryker. Looking forward to this discussion. Thanks.
Hey,
Carly Strauss.
Hey, Carly, thanks for joining us.
I don't know, Carly, if you anyone who's on there but hasn't got the company name, then please post it. You might have done later, so we might get to you. Alison Dickinson, CEO of Maximize. Good evening, all. Hope you're all well. Do feel free to connect with me here. Are you able, Jamie, to click onto those and can you see them and click on them by any chance?
I have my phone going at the same time, so I'm kind of checking the message there, but I don't see them besides what you're putting up on the screen.
Oh, really? Okay, then. All right. So we've got Alistair again, and if you ever need to understand your data by location, what, when, and where things are happening, please do drop me a line. Basically, Deborah Hanson, looking forward to this conversation. Thanks, Deborah. And by the way, if anybody doesn't put the company name and you know the company name, then please do shout.
If you need extended stay hotel, contact Deborah Hanson.
All right. LinkedIn user, but I don't know. Oh, here we go. Corporate furnished housing department in San Francisco. Hello. Hope you're all well and looking forward to connecting with you all.
AMS, right? Residential. Okay.
Okay. American Lighting Systems.
They're on the West Coast.
Okay. Great many here. Okay, Alice is saying he's going to go down the pub. He's telling us he's going for a networking. Sorry,
hey,
Alice.
Catherine, my friend. I think everyone knows Catherine.
Yeah, excited for the discussion. So great to be back. I won't read them out, but then you, Jamie, and in the panel, if you know these people, then do say hi. Here's Carly again.
Hey, Carly.
Home Street Service Departments located in Indiana. Fabulous. Thanks, Carly. Shane Burlington,
See.
Carly Strauss, exactly. If people put in their email addresses would be great. Jack, hi everyone from Philly. Jack from Stryker, I think we may have mentioned. Alice is saying his email address there. Bianca, hi from Germany. Lynn, hello everyone.
Hey, Lynn. She's MCHA, Murphy's Corporate Housing Associates.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Renata from Germany. Hi, Renata.
Hey, Renata.
Joanna Foss. Joanna, if you put your company name. Global Housing.
Hey, Andrew, good to see you.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, David.
Michelle from Sojourn. Thanks, Michelle, for all your support there.
Thanks, Michelle. Hey, Carlene.
That's another of your colleagues, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a good group for sure.
Yeah, Lynn with the details. Joachim from
Hey, Joachim.
Berlin.
Well, he's actually Dutch, but he lives in Berlin. He's with Homelike.
I was going to say that name doesn't sound very German.
Oh, I think it can be, actually.
Homelike, yeah, they just launched in the States, actually, haven't they? I think.
Oh, did they?
Homelike. So, Renata, I manage VR Home in Tuscany with passion, and I want professionalism to be a hallmark of Italians. Tired of hearing comments about from foreigners about us. What
Who doesn't like the Italians?
Yeah, it sounds like
Who's
it.
that?
Ethics and promoter of good example. Collaborate to differentiate. Thanks, Renata, for that. And yeah, we're with you on that. Aldo, hi everyone from Y Hotel. Yeah, Aldo, thanks for your message earlier and for joining us. Hi from Mexico.
Hey, Golly's a good long-time friend of mine.
Oh, really? Yeah, nice. What company do you know, or is it?
Well, works in Mexico.
Right. Oh, excellent. Michelle, it's just people saying hi. Hi, everyone. I think that what I'll be doing in the future, apart from the questions and the comments, then is just to post these. Otherwise, we're going to be running a bit short on time, aren't we? I guess.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll post them as we pick up the speaking. I'll run the video now, the sponsor video, and then I'll get back. I'll pass it back to you, Jamie, if I may. Whilst you're talking, I'll be posting some of these highs, and then if there are questions, then we'll focus on the questions at some point. That's okay? Yeah. Right. So we've got. And we are back in the room, just checking I'm not on mute. No, I'm not. Anybody that doesn't know, so there used to be a program called Little Britain. It was a comedy program, and there was like a hypnotist thing, and they go 1, 2, 3, back in the room. Whenever we come back after the videos, I always feel it's like that. So just back in the room. But yeah, Jamie, if I may, I'll pass back to you, please, for to continue the discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. Ralph, I wanted to check with you first. How did AHI, once business started picking back up a little bit and everyone was mask mandated and things started to roll a little bit, did you have any certain adaptations that you had to make to keep your business going, as far as maybe the cleanliness of the units? I know that was a big concern initially. People worried about turn cleans, whether you were fogging your apartments, whether you had someone come in to clean them and turn them. What did you do to adapt? What did AHI do to adapt?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest concern, was the cleaning of the apartments between stays. And we extended the time between stays and be sure that we had a checklist of things that we went through in each apartment as we made them ready for the next guest. But it's hard to know whether that was done in every turn, because you have to outsource a lot of that to maid services or other cleaning people. And we felt like we told them exactly what to do, but I think there was always the concern is, are they actually doing everything on the list and making that sanitized for the next guest? But the biggest thing was it added to the number of down days from one guest to the next.
Did you have a lot of clients inquiring about your procedures on turn cleans?
I would say some, but I wouldn't say that it was every guest and every client. I think we were pretty proactive. We put out emails to most everybody that we do business with, outlining our procedures. And I think that helped a lot, rather than getting a call from everybody as they moved in.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the consensus, that the duty of care, working with these corporations and companies, kind of superseded having to go over and over with every client the procedures that you take. Is there any other changes that you feel that AHI had to make to kind of adapt and overcome this and to change and come out the other side?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that two things for us, I guess. We did get rid of a lot of apartments and downsized a good bit the number of apartments we had.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we didn't give anything back to communities. I think communities are very sensitive to that. We may have done ourselves a disservice with the relationship with the communities, but we did not do that. We just didn't renew the leases as they came up. So our inventory dropped to get us back to where our occupancy needed to be. The other thing is we worked very hard to talk to our customers to find out what we could do to make our service better as we move forward. And as I said, we struggled through about the middle of June or July, and then things started picking up. And again, by the time of having gotten rid of a number of units, we actually had a very good Q3 and Q4. It was really a roller coaster.
Well, did you find yourself really going over the numbers to pick the inventory back up, or did you just feel it was flowing with the business?
No, I think that we looked at that, and once we got back to our normal occupancy, then we really worked on, trying to add units and be selective where we were adding units. And again, we were higher than normal in November and December. And a part of that is just we had less apartments, but probably about the same number of occupied units.
I see. Yeah, we were kind of the same way. We really didn't have to give back much inventory, but any additional inventory we took on, we really went over the numbers for the location and made sure that did a lot of risk management on each unit that we acquired back to make sure, because when you're taking out the long term, then obviously you have to worry about the vacancy. Do you do match term leases, or do you do long term?
No, we do. We keep core inventory and do the long term leases. So we did have some exposure on vacancy. But like I said, I have to say we were very fortunate by being in the area where we were, because any shutdown that we had was very short. Mask mandates did not last long. We sent people home and worked remotely for maybe a month or so. It wasn't very long, and then we got back everybody into the office. Now, of course, that was a little bit of a hurdle trying to get people set up in home offices and things like that. But again, it passed. We still see some effects of it today, but it's not nearly. It didn't hurt us as bad as I know it hurt some of the other companies around the country.
Right. I know when the shutdown happened, I know two of the biggest names in the industry kind of fell, and it kind of shook the industry pretty well. Did you feel that impacted any of your dealings, or did you feel that you just focused on what you were doing?
No, we just kept focusing on what we were doing. We work a lot and do a lot with other third-party providers and RMCs. Our RMC business was off, but we had a lot. I guess fortunately, we also had a lot of individuals who started renting corporate apartments because their real estate was selling so fast.
Right. Well, I know AHI is one of the leaders in the industry for third-party networking. So my hat's off to you in that category for sure. I think you've been a staple in the industry since I've been in the industry, which is 23 years. So my hat's off to AHI and your whole teams. They really do an excellent job.
Well, thank you. We focus on that business to try to be able to provide to other providers that have a need here or there in the Southeast.
Well, I know if I come there, I can can some tomatoes or in your apartments. I love that video of Carol's where she was canning her stuff in one of your apartments.
The managers complain when Carol comes back because they all gain about 10 pounds while she's in town.
Well, let's move to Inga. Inga, what changes do you feel that your company has made? You being a director, I'm sure you have close access to the owners and the powers that be. What do you feel? What changes did your company make to coming out the tail end to sustain business and grow it?
We own most of the real estate that we have in our inventory, and the rest is our rentals. So we did have some discounts during I think that was from December to June this year. So due to the discount, we were able to lower the rates as well. I saw a comment somewhere from Milton saying that it was funny to hear me talk about lowering the rates in order to keep the occupancy up. But we just felt that was the way we had to go, and we have less inventory now. I think we were still like 6 apartments less. We have 6 apartments less than we had before COVID, but we were able to get rid of some of the older ones and get some new ones. So that's actually a pretty nice move, despite it all. And we're only a small company, so we didn't have to let anyone go.
Did you have to make changes to your cleaning and your turn cleans and how you?
We don't do same. We didn't. Well, I think we're doing them again now, but we didn't do same day turns. And we got an ultraviolet machine that sterilizes an apartment within 30 minutes. So that just cleans the whole air in the whole apartment, and we just focused on better cleaning, more thorough, and the hygiene, and especially like the high touch areas in the whole building and the apartments. We didn't get a lot of requests from our clients. I think most people that actually came during the pandemic were really happy to move, really happy to be able to get to either their new job or new project, and actually people were coming in empty planes. It was a very surreal situation, and so.
Do you do a mix? Do you do a mix of corporates and vacation renters?
No, only corporates. Only corporates, yes. So yeah, and I think that it hit hard, but it picked up mid-March this year, and we're still going really well. And I usually see a decrease of inquiries by now, like beginning mid of November, but I don't feel it's the same this year. I feel maybe moves and projects have been postponed and moved. So I suppose there will be a decrease as usual during Christmas, New Year, but it feels different than past years. So I think
we've only gotten a few notices that companies are shutting down at the end of the year, wanting to, their final invoicing for the end of the year to get their budgets in place. So that kind of tells me that the business is going to keep going probably well into the first quarter. And I think most of the RMCs I talked to kind of have verified that as well.
Well, luckily inquiries are still swimming in, so pretty happy about that. Yeah. Yay, Michelle.
I want to talk to Richard. You being in the UK, what do you feel that some of the biggest changes that the providers in the UK have made to keep the business going and to grow their business? I know one of the first things that a lot of other areas didn't get was the opportunity for the national health workers, which I know sustained a lot of the service providers in the UK. And then, funny enough, I didn't know this, but they also had some criminals that they were housing as well. The government was allowing that to take place also, as well as some homeless. What do you feel are some of the strongest points that your government has helped you with?
Thanks, Jamie. Not sure whether it's the government that's helped us with things, but the general kind of move. You're right. So the sector was able to turn to help NHS workers, the homeless, and vulnerable people. And let's give a shout out to our good friends at Air Response Accommodation there, really, because they're very active in that area. So the extended stay accommodation was able to assist in that area. With regard to on the commercial side of things, there was quite a sharp shift. Leisure wasn't happening, of course. The business trips weren't happening. What was happening was corporate relocation and contractors, the contractor market. So whilst hotels were closed down by the government policy guideline, there were more than guidelines, they had to close. Extended stay accommodation was allowed to stay open, therefore helped the vulnerable, helped the NHS, and as they say, pivoted. I'm not a massive fan of that word, but everyone pivoted. Wherever they were operating traditionally, they pivoted towards the contractor market and the corporate relocation market, and did extremely well.
I think the reduction in the VAT tax was massive, from 20 to 5%. I thought that really helped out the hospitality industry to lower the rates.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So VAT was reduced. There were also business rates.
We're up to 12.5% now, so they're creeping back up.
Exactly. It's like these mortgage holidays, isn't it? Really, it's just that axe that's come swinging down at you again. Then, so it's temporary, and it's hopefully the companies that have been able to benefit from all of that are then in a position to kickstart and in the real world, as it were, because that's the scary bit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know people in the audience that would like to comment on that, because a very, very small operator in as much as 2 units. So I've got, but we, in those terms, we in those units, we didn't then, of course, have leisure, but we did get relocation, and I don't know, like over that whole COVID period, probably about 6 or 7 guests in 1.5 years, which is kind of crazy when we used to be doing turnarounds every 3, 4, 5 days. So,
well, I think the Saba networking really, anyone who was handling international and markets outside of the U.S., it was really a useful, helpful tool for me each week to find out what was going on in the UK, what was going on in Europe. I found out a lot of information that I needed to know because I was placing people in these countries and I wasn't there. So it invaluable to me. I know you thank me over and over for joining your sessions, but I think I really got more out of it than you
Well,
know.
I mean, it took me by surprise because all I wanted, we initially, as you know, marketed it as Saba wine time. All I wanted was to drink. So it turned into something I wasn't too, prepared for. But no, thank you, and thank you, to everyone for that support. And it was great fun. And I think that was another change, wasn't it? Really, we've all moved online and run our businesses effectively online, so we've learned a lot about working online and about hybrid, but I won't move on to those areas in case those are further questions. What I would probably say is, with 4 minutes until the 6 o'clock, and I don't know how people are fixed, I'm happy to be here for as long as you wish, but I don't know if people have got appointments. But back to you, Jamie.
Well, I wanted to ask Michelle kind of the same question. Do you feel that your inventory changed, or that you're doing anything specific as far as cleaning units differently, or how has Today Living Group adapted to COVID or coming out of COVID?
I think it's same in our entire industry. Our suite mix has changed. A lot of the needs from COVID have changed. A lot of our smaller units were the ones that were the softest during COVID. They were the hardest to fill, but vice versa. Larger units, 1 bedroom a den, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms, detached houses, townhouses, this type of inventory, we couldn't get enough. So we had to increase everything.
Don't forget the pet friendly.
That too. We also had don't forget, in Canada, we exist predominantly in condominiums. So we face something else too. And to Wendy's comment, she's got in there, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And that is, there were some providers during COVID that went up, hands up, it's an excuse not to pay rent. And they literally, in some cases, rented out properties, may not have paid the landlords, and walked away, and caused a bit of a rift in many apartment or condominium communities with our type of industry, where they branded us all the same. I found during COVID, there was companies that went above and beyond, and we did everything like I hate to say the word over cleaned. We supplied more supplies, more food, more everything, didn't increase the rents. If anything, there were, some adjustments in some cases. We went over and above. And then you had this other group that left dead bodies everywhere, if you know what I mean. And unfortunately now, many of us, of course, the ones doing it the right way, we've got to, kind of, try to rebuild what these others left for dead. And it's awful that some of them are still even around today. And you know what, there almost needs to be hey, we know who you are, and nobody support this type of behavior anymore because you're hurting our industry. So right. That was a really big thing we had here in Canada, really big. And if you happen to be in a building that this other group or provider was in, you were looked at with a magnifying glass. And if you weren't doing anything wrong, that's fine. But, you're up for scrutiny if the board of directors in the building says, oh, you're a problem. And so we find ourselves defending ourselves for something that we weren't even a part of.
Right. Yeah, that's a shame when you've done such wonderful business over the years, and then another company comes in and kind of does the wrong thing, and it puts a bad taste in the management's mouth that ends in your lap. But
exactly.
To answer Jack Gempel's question, he was talking about was the benefit of reducing the rates. I think it did help a lot. It did help a lot of smaller businesses to cover their costs, especially when they had excess inventory. Our owner's point was, I'd rather lose $100 a month than lose $3,000 a month. So some of these smaller type businesses, that's their thinking, is they don't want to close their doors. They don't want to get rid of all their inventory, but they're going to have to cover costs. So at first, I think the rates got very competitive, got very low, which was really hurting the industry as a whole, because there's no way it could sustain at that level. Mm-hmm. I think once we saw that the moves were going to continue, the inventory got less and less, and then people started to realize that this isn't going to pay the rent. This isn't going to pay my employees. So they started bringing the rates back up to the margin levels.
There's something about lowering the rates, and that is, you have some companies who get it, who understand, what, we're not going to take advantage of you. And I found that if you lowered your rates too much, and I'm hearing this from others within the industry, how do you raise it back up again? It's difficult. We were looking at that as well. So other than the first 3 months where we were able to support the first wave here, COVID numbers in the obviously supporting hospitals and some retirement home communities. After we got past the first 3 or 4 months where, yes, the rates were, very robust, shall we say, they reduced. We went out for other business, because how do you take your corporate client that was paying here, lower it during COVID, and then go back up here again? It was hard. So we only made a small adjustment is what we did. And then we made the decision to go out and find new business because we had to maintain occupancy. What do you do?
Right. I was finding that.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, Inga.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Because I think it's not about having a huge blowout and going as low as you can. It's about being transparent and with the relationship that you've built over the years and respect that you have with your clients, and really just asking for every inquiry. All right, what's the budget? Can I meet it? Is that reasonable for me? And if yes, we work with a lot of the same companies, with the same booking agencies. So there's a mutual respect, and that's I think how we work through it. Just talk to them instead of saying, look, I'm going rock bottom with my rates, because that's not going to help anyone. And that also, because I saw a comment somewhere on how to get them back up. Well, just gradually move them up, see how far you can go.
I really think that as the inventory got less, and especially the one bedrooms became such a non-need, because everyone was working from home. Everyone wanted at least a 2-bedroom, a 1-bedroom with a den.
2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms are still in very, very high demand.
Yeah.
Right, and we're even receiving 4 and 5 bedrooms, which I don't even know if they make them.
We don't have them. No.
I think we did some damage with our relationships with the owners of the properties. We don't own any of our inventory. We lease from the apartment communities, but with the ones that walked away from the leases or giving leases back in bulk, we're now finding that our relationship with some of the properties, because we didn't do that, but some of our relationships are affected because they now look at us in the same bucket as somebody that gave them back 10 apartments when they didn't want them. And I think that long term, there will be some effect on how that is, and us being able to get the inventory that we need.
I'm sure with the business picking up, you'll get right back in the good graces, Ralph.
Well, that's kind of interesting. We have heard that they're all full. They keep telling us they're full. And right now, at the end of the year, we want to give back a few apartments. And we've talked to them and said, can you help us out? If you're full, will you go ahead and just take them back from us? Oh, no, we've got 5 1-bedrooms to rent ourselves. So they're not quite being honest with us about the inventory being tight, but yet they still have no problem with raising rents 20 to 30%.
Do you feel that the concessions are in small supply right now with apartment complexes?
Right now, I expect that to turn around. I don't know when, maybe late Q1, maybe Q2. I don't know, but I don't think that we're getting the true story from what the occupancy rate is in some of these apartment communities.
Right. They're good salespeople too.
I think they have some occupancy problems, but they're still pushing rate.
Right.
Opposite of what we've been talking about.
Richard, here in the U.S., you might take out a 14-month apartment lease and get the 2 months free would be a concession for taking out a 14-month lease here in the U.S. So that's kind of what I was referring to as the apartments giving concessions, which I think with the availability as nil as it is right now, I'm sure a lot of the apartment complexes here in the U.S. nationwide are giving out fewer and fewer concessions.
There's a big housing shortage in Amsterdam and the rest of, especially in Amsterdam, but the rest of Holland as well. Prices are going.
Yeah.
And that's how those clients find out, because they'll come to you and they'll say, well, if you're not gonna to lower your rates, then I'll go to someone else, and then they find out there's nothing else available. So that's kind of how our businesses work. on the international side. You know, a lot of the people that were giving apartments away, they filled up quickly, but once that was done, then the inventory became less and less. So the rates were going up to match, and people were finding out that I'm gonna have to pay this higher price just to get my employee to this location. Well, I do have one last question. I'd like to go around the panel and ask. I know I've done a lot of speaking with different RMCs, especially at the ERC in Chicago, but I wanted to get your opinion or your take on how do you feel that the corporate business or the corporate housing business is going to go into the new year? Do you feel it's done at the end of Q4? Do you think it's going to go into Q1 or Q2? We'll start with you, Ralph.
Well, you know, we heard this, that there was going to be an influx of business in Q3 and Q4. We haven't seen it, not us. I still have hope that there's some pent-up demand that we may see in Q1 and Q2, but I'm not as optimistic as I was maybe 2 months ago. I'm afraid that this may be even longer than we may be expecting. It may run until our summer people coming in next year.
So you feel it might be tapering off for the year and not pick up again till March, April time?
We are seeing some softness.
Okay. I know we've received some a slight downturn in the number of requests, but you know, I say that, and the next day I open up my computer and they're filled back up. So it seems like it's sustaining pretty well.
I truly hope I'm wrong, but I'm not optimistic for Q1 right now. We'll probably maintain what we have, but I don't see an increase in business.
I got you. Inga, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't usually see inquiries for the month of December, and they are coming in. So I don't think it'll take as hard as a fall as it usually does by the end of the year. I'm not sure though. The numbers in Europe are rising again, which is surprising because the vaccination rate here is very high. And I think we've reached an all-time high today here in the Netherlands, which is, I mean, it's worrying. But despite all that, I think Q1 will start off as Q1 usually does. So it'll pick up again by the end of it towards March and April. Yes.
Michelle, what are your thoughts?
We are let me put it this way. I am really great at budgeting, but not during COVID. We're finding that we're getting inquiries, many of them, you know, for Monday, move in Friday. We're finding a lot of very short term where normally, you know, you obviously have some lead time. We're finding that, or we're having, I want to book confirmed 4 and 5 months for January 1. It's not normal if, you know, it's absolutely bizarre right now. So it's really hard to predict. But our occupancy is amazing. I would say up until about 2 weeks ago, the amount of inquiries coming in, it was off the charts in some cases. And then last week it was, you know, we'd have a few a day. I think where the real big difference is we were, with odd exception, we were able to close just about everything that came in. Where in the past, depending on, you know, who was asking, you know, it was kind of like, you know, throwing, you know, something into the wind, and some catches, some you don't. So I find that the mix that's coming in, the seriousness of the inquiries that are coming in have changed, and we're able to close what's coming in. So to answer your question, our last quarter is really strong, and our first quarter, what we've got on the books up to the end of April right now is really strong, to the point where we're working on 3 suites at a time, where we're acquiring more units, furnishing them up, which is our biggest problem right now because of the furniture shortage. As soon as we do that, we're in the we need to get more inventory mode.
That's awesome. That's really good. I kind of feel the same for us. And, you know, I to be honest, since I just handle outside of the U.S. and all markets, it almost seems like the global market is continuing where the U.S. might be tapering off towards the end of the year from Ralph, because I know you guys do a lot of business, Ralph. So you kind of know the network and what's going on in the U.S., especially with you being in the South, dealing with I know you do with NASA and some of the other companies down there.
And maybe it's just me. Because I'm normally very optimistic, and maybe I'm a bit too optimistic for what I thought was going to happen in Q4, and we just haven't seen it. And I'm concerned that it's going to continue into Q1.
I think probably end of February we'll taper off from this business. I think there'll be a slow lapse for about a month, and then I think end of March, April, I think we'll be up and rolling again. I just think there's too much pent up business. I think there's from that time that they're trying to get employees moved as fast as they can, and when they finish up for the year, they just kind of roll into the next and get them where they need to go.
Well, anything you can't handle in Q4, send my way, Jamie.
We sure will.
Sorry. I just wish I could show you what's going on outside my window. There's like a group of 8 kids singing for the candy. It's so sweet.
It's what is the name of a Kids Day?
It's Saint Martin. It's like Halloween.
Right.
So they're trick or treating, singing. They have lanterns. It's very sweet. Yeah.
Sweet, but why don't you have a bucket of water ready for them?
No.
Ah,
Nah.
Ooh.
You have kids. Oh,
No, that's right.
maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Guys, I have to go. It was
Okay.
really nice being on the panel and talking to all of you and hearing your insights. Thank you, Jamie, for hosting.
Well, thank you very much, Inga. It was a pleasure having you on. And
Hi, Inga.
Richard, I think really
Take care.
we've gone through everything that we need to find out how and why and what to look forward to in 2022.
That's great. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, obviously, Inga. She's now gone to throw that bucket of water over the mic. I suggested.
Candy. I think she's going to eat the candy.
Yeah, probably. Michelle and Ralph. So I thank you, but thank you, Jamie, for holding it all together. Obviously, couldn't have done it without you. It really is a full-time job with the comments. Thank you very much to the audience for sticking with us, because
I do have to say hi to Wendy Galati. She's like my sister from another minister, and she's really helped a lot of people during COVID. She came to our company with some ideas. I know she went to a lot of other people with her ideas. So she really tried to help out the whole industry during this time. So thanks, Wendy.
No, it's great. I think that people say it, don't they? But I mean, it's been shown to be such a great sector, to a great sector of people all working together at a time when we had to pull together, and so it was great. And you see the people making comments here, and you've had the corporates pulling together with the property providers, with the agents / brokers. It's just been really, really great. So I'm still got the client. You can see that it's been a solid audience all the way through.
Well, I think honestly, I think a lot of us are competitors, but I think more so we're friends. I mean, I really feel that way. When I go to a lot of these conferences, I really look forward to meeting the other suppliers as much as I do my clients.
Yeah. Can I make a plug? I hope to see as many of you as possible in January, because CHPA is having our conference this year. So it's in Florida. Yeah, January the 29th. So we're hoping to see everyone in Tampa, Florida, and continue these discussions, because I think they're amazing. And nice to hopefully see everybody again. Some of us may be wearing a mask, but we're going.
Well, thanks for having me on the panel. I appreciate it, but I'm also going to have to go to another meeting. But thank you. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Tell Carol I said hi.
I will. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, Ralph. Bye. So I will play the outro again. Thanks to the audience. Thank you to the audience, both the live and the recorded viewers. Michelle, thank you. It's always great to see you.
Thank you.
And your support of Saba over the time, really appreciated. And Jamie, what a great Trooper.
Thank you for having me, Richard. I really appreciate it. It was a topic that I've been wanting to cover for some time, and I really appreciate you, Saba Networking, and the sponsors.
No, it's my pleasure. Okay, so I'd say this every week. We'll play the outro video. It's then you want to kind of remove yourself from the screen. Otherwise, like me, you'll just end up staring at the camera and staring at the screen when it's finished. It was very, very frightening to begin with. But if anybody's got any time to join us on Zoom after this, the Blue Room breakout, there's the URL, tiny.cc/br, then it'd be great to see you. So thanks once again, and here's the outro. Jamie, in fact, we're still live, just for warning. So, because I've seen some more comments here that I would like to just post on here,
Yeah, sure.
just for the point of the recording. So, thanks, Shane, for your comment there. Thanks, Milton. Somebody there looking for maintenance workers, but don't know who.
Yeah, I was just going to type it because I did that URL for the Zoom.
Oh, that's good. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe we should head on. That's. I just want to try to honor the viewers, as they say. So yeah, great. Okay, we'll end the broadcast and then maybe see you over on Zoom, Jamie. But we'll catch up afterwards. In fact, let me cut this now.
Okay.